Second session. This part here is going to be covering off social media. Okay, so this topic I'm sure that you've all heard of numerous times, whether it's in your personal lives or in your Toastmasters clubs. So here's just a quick question for the audience. Why did you join Toastmasters? Any thoughts?
Think on my feet.
Think on your feet.
Better at public speaking.
Better at public speaking.
Leadership skills.
Leadership skills. Well, I joined for some of those reasons, but also just to get confidence, speaking to people, because interpersonal communication, I think, is one of those skills that, you either are comfortable talking with people or maybe you're not. And I think Toastmasters gives you an opportunity to practice speaking to people. But what's quite interesting is that in the 21st century, we don't just have our physical lives that we have to encounter, we have our virtual lives. And your online presence, whether you like it or not, it's there. So whether it's in your Facebook, Twitter, if you Google search yourself, chances are people can find your details. So how active you are in dealing with social media will probably dictate how social you are online. Some people are good at interpersonal communication in real life, maybe not so much in the virtual world. And so I think that's what we're trying to achieve today. So for social media, I imagine that you've heard of different platforms. Who here uses Facebook? Okay, who here uses Twitter? Okay, it's not so many. Who here uses Instagram? Again, not many people. What about LinkedIn? Who uses LinkedIn? Okay, so a lot of people use LinkedIn and Facebook. Is there any reason why you use one platform or over another? Have you ever thought about why you use Facebook, why you use LinkedIn? Or is there any difference? Why should I use one over the other? Or why should I even use both?
Good point.
Any thoughts?
Generally because I don't know how to use any of the other ones, so it's just what you're familiar with.
Yep, so depending on what people use, you might follow in that sort of situation. So when I was doing some research about all the different platforms, it was quite interesting because there was a gentleman who analysed the different P's of social media, and the 5 platforms that he identified, there was indeed Facebook. There was also Twitter. There was LinkedIn. Also had Pinterest. Anyone heard of Pinterest?
Yep.
Yeah. Pinterest. And he had one final one.
Instagram.
Instagram. Would you agree that these make up, a significant portion of social media platforms that you've heard of?
Yep. Yeah.
So the P that he had identified with Facebook is people. Chances are the users, the followers you connect with are people you actually know in real life. Okay, so these are probably your friends, colleagues, family, people you've met. Okay, so because you want to share personal information with them, so you're probably comfortable that your friends, your mutual friends with each other. Twitter he identified that as perception. So perception being, it gives you an opportunity for you to have a voice. Twitter doesn't work the same as Facebook because it's limited to 160 characters. So it's almost like you've got something to say, you post a tweet. Facebook, yes, you can also do the same thing, but your target audience is different.
Yeah.
In Facebook, it's only people who you've connected with. Those are the people who can see your posts or photos. Twitter, anyone can access it if you've made it publicly available, but chances are you've got a broader audience. Now, I think the difference between Facebook and Twitter is that Twitter, again, it gives you that option to have a voice about a particular topic. You're more likely to share your thoughts about a particular subject, share something that you find interesting. For Facebook, it doesn't quite work the same way. Chances are you're going to be talking more about your personal lives, what you've been up to. And I know that a lot of people share what they eat, where they've been, and all that sort of stuff. But Twitter, you probably won't do so much of that. The next one he identified for LinkedIn is the P is pimping. LinkedIn is like a online CV, right? So you're trying to sell yourself to your potential employers. You're not necessarily going to tell your employers that you went to a park and you were playing Pokemon, or you went to a shop and you had an ice cream, or you took a picture of a dog. They don't find that interesting. You want to sell your qualifications. You want to sell your experience. So that's what LinkedIn's purpose is. You might have a particular, if you write articles that's related to your particular specialist field, like for your work, that could be an interesting place. Then people will realise that, oh, okay, you actually are an expert in this particular industry. That might pay off if you are indeed looking for a job. I realised that Pinterest and Instagram actually fall under the same category, because I just realised what the actual fifth one is. It's actually Google+. But Instagram and Pinterest is predominantly around photos. And if you want people to follow or like, because liking, retweeting, reposting, sharing, that's the currency in social media. Pinterest and Instagram, you want to share quality photos, okay? So in order to get a large following, you actually do need a quality cell phone. If you have a very outdated cell phone that's very blurry, 2 megapixel photos, it's not going to generate interest. But if you have a quality phone that takes pictures, or if you have a good camera, high resolution is probably what you're trying to do here. So it's about people's interest in a particular topic, and you're posting something that's relevant to them. So you're adding value. Google Plus, does anyone know how Google Plus works?
No.
You do? So what do you use it for? Not much? Okay.
It's got circles.
It's got
which
circles.
You keep track of people. You can, if you want to, keep track of other people you know and the interrelationships.
Yeah. The P for Google Plus is passion. Because here you're trying to find particular groups who share your passion, whether it's for a particular hobby, could be photography, camping, tramping, travelling, Toastmasters. That's sort of what Google Plus is designed for. It's to find other people who share that sort of passion. You can connect through that. You might be able to do something similar, but if you think about the other avenues, if you keep posting about Toastmasters to your friends and your colleagues who aren't Toastmasters, they could get very sick of you constantly posting just around a particular topic. They're probably more interested about what you've been up to, because they're the people. For Twitter, again, if you share all these, are you necessarily going to find the right people? Not really, because again, Twitter is about perception, it's just your voice. So again, Twitter won't quite work for that area. LinkedIn, again, you only find individuals, and only if you're able to connect with them, you'll see their profile. You won't be able to see what other passions they share with you. And Pinterest and Instagram, well, it's interesting that someone might post a particular photo about a topic. Do they necessarily have that same interest? And it doesn't give you an option to have a forum to chat. So I think that's what Google Plus actually does. So those are the 5 Ps of social media, and it is quite interesting because when you look at it in that sense, that means that each area has a different focus. And certainly when you take it back to your clubs, if you're only looking at Facebook, you're actually missing out on a whole bunch of other areas. So one other thing that when I was also asking about clubs, what do they do, how do they use social media? And it's quite interesting that a lot of clubs use Facebook, right? They use Facebook to predominantly promote the club, and it kind of makes sense, right? That's what you should be doing. A different strategy could be to promote the actual individual members. So if you're promoting the club, you're sort of coming from a top-down approach. You're promoting how awesome the club is. But if you're going from a bottom-up approach, you're trying to promote the individual members. Think back to when you went to a Toastmasters meeting that you've never been to, and visited a different club, and you saw that individual had brilliant speaking skills, just very charismatic, or just very friendly. Those are the sort of reasons why members become, the public guests become members. So you can actually utilise social media not just to promote the club, but to actually promote the members. One area we don't have on this is obviously YouTube. Now, this particular workshop is streamed on YouTube, because YouTube is also an area where a lot of potential guests search for Toastmasters. They might type public speaking. What better opportunity than to record some of the videos, the table topics, the evaluations, and promote the member. So instead of just promoting how awesome the club is, you're saying, club is awesome, but look at how awesome the members are and what they're doing. Instead of telling the guests, the public, about the club, what you're doing is you're focusing your efforts on the individuals. If you see someone in your club who stands out, could be the face of the club, you can utilise that in each of these different channels. Any questions about what I've covered so far? No? Okay. So social media, as I said before, was about utilising the online platform to engage with your followers. And surprise, you actually have to engage with your followers. Think back to Facebook. I remember when I first started, I was pretty shy, occasionally I might sort of give a like, but I would never comment. If someone posts a comment to me, I would almost never reply. I would direct message them back, just so it doesn't look like everyone's watching. But this is a brilliant platform for your potential followers to see what you're doing. So definitely engage with your followers. For Facebook, if you don't talk to a particular family member, it's okay. You probably will see them in real life. But if you're thinking about Twitter followers work in a different format. They're interested in what you have to say. So if they follow you, you don't have to follow them back, but you need to generate good content for them to continue that follow. LinkedIn, again, you sort of meet someone during like a networking session, add them on LinkedIn, and it's okay, right? It doesn't matter if you don't engage with them. In fact, I don't engage with a lot of my LinkedIn followers, but then I realise, why don't I engage with them? If I connect with them, wouldn't it be good just to send them a thank you? Like, just to say, oh, it was awesome meeting you. Sometimes I just connect and then that's it. So that's the areas on how you can sort of improve the way you engage with your followers. And when you think back, is it really important? Is it important to utilise all of these social media channels to engage with your followers? Well, let's think about some well-known leaders in the world. What comes to your mind when I say world leader? Obama? Yeah, it's almost like Obama seems to be the top person. And why is he? Well, why do you think of Obama?
Well, in the context of social media, he's very good at it.
He's good at it, but do you find he's very influential?
Well, yes, especially with the spoken word.
Yeah, but you've never met him. He's not president of your country. In fact, you have very little dealing with Obama, and yet he is considered one of the most influential leaders. Let's take another example. If I said influential author, what comes to your mind?
J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling. Anyone else?
I think of people who are now dead, so that wouldn't count because you're looking at.
No, but to you, they're influential. So influential authors is what I'm.
Right, C.S. Lewis.
C.S. Lewis, yep. So it's interesting, right? Even though they've passed away or they're in a different country, we still talk about them. And if we're talking about them just in the physical sense, online is massive because it's 24 hours a day. And so you can actually utilize social media to improve your social status so that people are talking about your, one particular post, and that will increase your influence. There was in the International Toastmasters Convention, they ran a seminar, and a gentleman, he identified 3 categories that make up someone who's influential. So you've got knowledge, right? Someone who's influential probably has knowledge in that particular industry. They also identified publicity. So publicity is how well known, like what channels they get sort of promoted in. So we've got knowledge, publicity, and the final one was quite interesting. It's personality. So when you think about what you actually share, is it just very bland information, or you make it interesting, right? Because remember in Toastmasters, every time we do a speech, it's about trying to add more, add stories, make it more interesting to the audience. So you add characters. That's essentially the same when you're looking at social media, because how you project to the wider world probably isn't who you really are, but it's the perception of who they think you are. So it's that adding that personality. If you post your messages in a fun, interactive, joking way, they'll think, oh, actually, this person is actually quite likable, and they're more likely to follow you. If you do it very serious, you're very angry, and maybe you don't actually like that in real world, but you just had a bad day, and that's what you posted, people are going to see that, and they'll think, oh, this person, I'm going to unfollow them, because it doesn't look like I want to see what content they have. So knowledge. Second one was publicity, and third was personality. You do that actually already when you're networking with somebody, right? How you portray yourself to others. You sort of try to replicate that in the social media world. So now I'm going to just log into some of those sites for you, just to show you what they look like. Chances are you've already seen what Facebook looks like, but if you haven't, this is our Division E Facebook page. So what we try to do, we post news about what's happening in the Toastmasters world related to Wellington. If you've never been here before, it's a good opportunity to give us a like and interact with us. Because what I found is that there's not that much interaction from Division E Toastmasters. We might get an occasional few comments, but usually it's a one-way communication. If you are managing a Toastmasters Club Facebook page, you sort of need to think about, are you generating the right content? Are you generating the right message? Because if you leave this as stale or the pictures are outdated, it doesn't sell a good image to the public. So it needs to be kept up to date. Now, for the Division E page, if you happen to go to settings, you will find that you can identify all the different page roles. Right, some technical difficulties it seems. Let's have a look. Who here actually manages their club's Facebook page, by the way? Got one, nobody else? Does your clubs actually have hands up if your club has a Facebook page? Okay, so more hands, right, going up. Do you contribute to your club's content? Like, do you help with posting? Do you take photos and upload them to your club Facebook page?
No, but I think I know who might be doing that. Yourself.
Me? Okay, so let's just move that to the side questions. Any other comments on why you think you don't contribute to your club's Facebook page? Is it Is it potentially, too much work, or what are the reasons?
I guess in my case, it's because I hadn't ever thought about it. I just assumed that somebody else looked after that.
Yep.
And I've never been invited to contribute anything, but now that you've put the thought in my mind,
Yep.
I probably could.
Cool. Any other thoughts?
Facebook is very image driven, and when you're at Toastmasters, you're standing up speaking. It's not visually, it's not that compelling. We did have one member came along with his big, huge dog one day. Took his dog. Now I got a photo of that because I thought it was a really interesting presentation. But because normally it's not the case, I don't really think it's photos.
Excellent. In fact, do you feel that your club's Facebook page is active, or do you feel it's inactive? Or you don't know.
Somewhere in between, I think. For
Somewhere in
our-
between?
It's a bit
Yep.
slow, a bit behind the times.
One thing that I find is that it actually takes a lot of time for you to build up that club following. So when you start off a club, for example, the Division E Facebook page, we started the year on 1st of July with about 100 likes. We've got it up to about 130, but it takes a lot of time if you're doing it from a club level, because if you think about Division E, we've got 41 clubs, over 800 members, but for a club, you've probably only got members, potential friends. Like if you're sharing it, that will expand the potential coverage that it gets. And if you don't, then actually probably nobody's seeing the posts. So doing it from a club level, it really does need a team effort. One person is definitely not enough, and it needs a coordinated effort. And if you think about when was the last time your club even took pictures, that probably speaks, gives you an idea of, is your Facebook page up to date? Because if you're not taking regular club photos of the interaction, chances are you've got no content to post on Facebook. So coming back into the settings, on the side you'll see that page roles. So as long as somebody is a admin of your Facebook page, then you can add further people. Now there's different levels. Admin gives full access rights. You can delete the page, add other people. Editors is quite interesting because editors mean they have full admin access without the right to delete that page. So if they accidentally delete it, by putting that as editors, it ensures that you've got one person who has full control and others can contribute. So I would encourage you to go back to your clubs and see if you can get added as an editor. Now, when you're an editor, obviously you get more notifications. Notifications, you can just come into I think it's settings, and you just switch off the notifications that you receive. Because if there's a lot more particular items that you're not interested in, like pies, or you're just interested in posting, then it's a good idea just to switch off some of the settings there. However, if you are one of the VP PRs or the VP memberships, or even the presidents, then if somebody posts, it's important that you engage with the follower and actually reply. That's really about it for Facebook that I'd recommend, is just review who is the admin in your club account and ensure that everyone gets a chance to contribute if they need to. The next one that I'll have a look at is Twitter. So this is the Assurity Toastmasters Twitter account. Now, granted, we haven't really been tweeting that often. One thing that I find quite interesting with Twitter, as I said before, is about perception. So adding value to your followers. Now, you're more likely to get faster followers on Twitter just because it's worldwide. And if you're tweeting about a particular topic, chances are someone else who's tweeting about that might see your post as well. How Twitter works is once you join, again, you just have to put a cover photo and put a profile photo. Never leave it in the default egg state because it doesn't look good. So if you are going to promote yourself or the club, make sure you've got decent, high quality photos. Now, for example, if I tweet 160, well actually it's 140 characters, but let's say I tweet this, the YouTube link, having a great time with Division E members. And I put the link, The link takes up quite a lot of characters as well. But again, I want more people to potentially see this tweet. So you might have heard of hashtags. Hashtags is basically a little tag that you can put onto your messages. You just have to put a hashtag, and then I could call it Toastmasters. So anyone who searches hashtag Toastmasters will probably see my tweet. I could also add the district hashtag, D72TM, and that should hopefully show up if we're tweeting all about the same topic. So, for example, if Division E, we're all tweeting about, say, the Division conference coming up, and we use the same hashtag, and everyone contributes that means it's more likely to show up on people's searches. It doesn't guarantee it, of course, but putting hashtags is recommended when you're tweeting. You don't want to add too many hashtags. I don't want to put hashtag having, hashtag great, hashtag time. It just becomes a mess. So you just want to keep it to a couple of keywords. And I might even add some particular users. So I might add Toastmasters. So if I add that, so I can see, okay, those are possible users I can add, and they've got Toastmasters NZ, so I might add them in, right? That just means that for Toastmasters NZ, they'll get a notification that I've been tweeting and engaging with them. And hopefully they'll either like my post or retweet it, but it increases the chances that your post gets to the wider public. So if I post that, it is instant. It shows up somewhere. So if I refresh this. Having a great time with Division E members. One thing, and one new feature in Twitter now is you can actually put this as your main tweet. So if I pin this to my profile, what will happen is that it will always show at the very top. So even if I refresh this, add more tweets, it will always show up in the top. If you've got a club website, and you'll find that it's generally quite static, right? The information doesn't change. So for our Surety club websites, we've put in that's the Twitter post. And you will see, hopefully, that if I refresh this, that post should appear in that list, having a great time. So I find that Twitter works very well with a club website because it just gives users more reasons to come back to your website. And I don't have to modify the actual content of this. I just have to tweet it and it shows up. So if I'm an admin user of this, then even just a single post is not that much effort, but it means that for your club, you're having a lot of your Twitter users adding more content. Any questions about Twitter?
People use hashtags like as a conversation piece as well, like I make a comment, like say you're complimenting someone.
Yep.
So hashtag keep up the good work.
Yep, absolutely.
What's the idea behind that? That's because then the people are constantly creating new hashtags all the
So
time.
if I come to the home page, here are the trends that are currently being discussed. So if I click this hashtag Shark Tank, seems like a lot of people are talking about this, and it's becoming a hot topic. But if I'm the only one who's tweeting about, let's say, Division E Technology Tools Workshop, it's not that many people tweeting about that particular topic. So then it's probably not going to be a widely discussed hashtag. If, for example, you have a convention or a conference and the organisers have given you a new hashtag, like could be Division E 2016, and wants everybody that's tweeting about that particular topic to use that hashtag, then chances are if I search, then it will come, like for this one, hashtag Shark Tank, everyone who's posted about Shark Tank it appears in this feed. But if I just search just that word shark and tank, it's probably not going to turn up in this. So you need to use it wisely, but basically it's just a little tag that you can assign to your messages, and if you have a personalised one, then chances are it's not going to get, mixed with other tweets. For example, if I'm say way to go and I'm talking about Toastmasters, way to go could also be about someone getting a job promotion, someone trying something. but it's not relevant to Toastmasters. So you could get a lot of people that you're not trying to target, but they might see your message, or maybe they might not, or someone who's trying to find out about Toastmasters, their first instance is not going to search way to go. They're probably going to search something with the lines of hashtag Toastmasters. I mean, if we went to hashtag Toastmasters, you'll probably find that worldwide, everyone's talking about Toastmasters in their own way, but this is why Twitter is not the primary way to attract your guests, because they're worldwide, they're probably not going to go to your club. So, but this still gives the perception about what your club is. So if you generate good content and you have a strong opinion about certain things, this is a good way to sort of tell the club what sort of personality your club is about. Any other final questions on Twitter? So Twitter, also what I found is that it can be a lot of work because you have to do real-time tweets. So there are actually other sites that you can use like Hootsuite and Buffer. What they actually do is you can link a lot of your other accounts and schedule tweets. Again, they offer different sort of different advantages, but it's a way of automating your tweets. So for example, if you've got a whole list of things you want to say, you don't really want to send it all out in one go, because this week you're very active in Twitter, then the following year, you're busy. So in other words, it just drop in what you've actually got to say. So you sort of space it out. So you can say, okay, I'll do a couple of tweets today, and maybe one on Thursday, a couple on the weekend, because you want your audience to see when you're actually going to be tweeting. So there's a lot of different tools that can sort of tell you about what the makeup of your followers, are they local, are they international? But what Hootsuite and Buffer does, it just gives you an option to speed up that process. There's also plugins that you can have in your browser. So if you like a particular article, I could just I could highlight something here and just have an option to buffer it. It means I'm going to save it for later, but I'll tweet it at a later point.
Do you actually find, I've never used Twitter before, which is ironic given that I work in a comms team, but do you ever, in terms of your club, do you use it much? Is it like a big part of your club, or?
It really depends on if you've got members in your club who are Twitter users themselves, because I find it works well if they tweet themselves and they just happen to also tweet for the club. If you're trying to get someone who's starting out, they don't know the rules, they don't know what they're trying to do, and their tweets might not be that engaging. So it's about, you want to add a photo, you want to add a link, hashtags. I mean, if you look through this, what immediately strikes your attention? Probably this one, because it's got a big picture there. This one maybe not. It's the ones with photos that look more attractive that will make you stop and think, I might give this a like, or even, like as I said, the currency of Twitter is likes and retweets. So the ones that have more likes and retweets, I'm probably going to stop. And so this person put a link to a video. Again, the more you make it engaging for the audience, the higher chances that you'll get someone liking it and retweeting it. Now, if I go to this one other site, this is called Clout.com, and what Clout does, it essentially gives you a score, right? Because you're spending all your effort on Facebook, on Twitter, LinkedIn, but how well are you doing it? Wouldn't it be great if someone just told you a score from 1 to 100 how well you are? Well, Clout.com basically does all of that. You can connect to what I've got for myself. I've connected a few of my accounts, which is, I've got Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and it gives me a score. So say my score is 50. I mean, how does this work? So an average score is about 40. If you don't link all your accounts and you're not that active, chances are you'll probably get a score lower than 30. Obama, very, very influential. See what his, can't quite remember what his handle is. Barack Obama. Anything that Barack Obama posts, he can just say awesome. a lot of people just instantly retweet it because he's very influential. But let's have a look. Okay, Barack Obama. He'll have a very high score. He'll have a score of, I think it's 98 or 99. So he's on the very high end scale. Most people will never get to this sort of level unless you're a superstar that people are just talking about you 24/7. Your chances are of getting a clout score of above 60 is actually a tremendous effort. Above 40 to 50 is probably something more realistic. So that's the score. He's got these three accounts connected, and Clout has generated a score of 98. Other people that have that use Twitter, use our Prime Minister, for example, John Key PM. $67. So you can sort of see that it's basically exponential for Clout. Very easy to get up to 40, but what it just gives you is a way to say, are you engaged with your followers? Do your followers interact with you? And if you connect all your accounts, you should get a score. And if it's not above 40, it means that you're not doing social media properly. If you get above 50, it means that, okay, you're actually putting some effort in. And if you get above 60, it means that, you know, you're actually quite influential probably in the social media space. So the perception that people think that you are awesome is going to be, you know, there's a higher chance that they'll think that because you're active on all those different channels. So that sort of is all I've got to say about social media. I mean, obviously, like YouTube is another channel, but it's connected with, you know, Google Plus and all that other area. Any final questions about social media or all the other areas that I've sort of discussed?
Yeah, in terms of if you have a club website, would it be a good idea to have links to something like Facebook?
Absolutely, because I think when people search for a particular club, the first thing that they'll find is your club website. They might see Facebook, but they might not necessarily click it. So if you've got a web page, certainly add the links to all your social media accounts. I think it just helps connect to all your different accounts so that people could. So for example, you've got the Facebook that will tell you your meeting information. It won't really tell the audience like what sort of club you are. So they might click on your Facebook account and see all these photos, whether it's if you're a professional club, then you sell that sort of professional sense. If you're trying to sell the social fun, if you've got like a crazy hat day, you know, publish those photos because that's an excellent way to sort of put that onto your social media channels, and then you can sort of explain what those photos are. Twitter, probably not so much, just because there's so many tweets that it might not get past in that sort of area. And also, certainly, if you have some of these other channels, it's just a good way for your club website to connect to all those channels.